From the garden. We are up bright and early, ready to get a head start on the day. Today we are going to be prepping our garden for the autumn season. This will be our first fall where we get to garden. If you're new here, we created this small but sweet garden space in the backyard last spring. So we had a beautiful spring and summer gardening season where we got to learn new things and experiment, and I'm so excited to continue to do that this fall season. So I'll give you an update on everything that is growing and what we've learned so far. And today on the agenda we have quite a few things to do. First and foremost, we are going to add some compost to all of the garden beds to add some additional nutrients. And then I also want to train the jasmine trellis we have and our bougainvillea. I have an exciting update with that. And then we also just have some other garden tidying tasks to do. And then we're going to be planting some new seeds that hopefully will flourish and grow this time of year. So really excited to spend some time outside with you all today, and let's get to it. Okay, time for a full update. Let's start with our peppers because these are doing so much better. I believe it's been helpful that we've been having more consistent afternoon showers, so they're a bit more covered during the hottest part of the day. So that has been really encouraging. We have this beautiful bell pepper right here. And then we also have two over here, which they're so cute. They kind of look like tomatoes. And then we have some more flowering and babies growing. So we are so excited about that. And then another one over here. And then we have a pretty big one over here. Hopefully in a week or so we can harvest some of these bigger bell peppers. And then we have a jalapeno, which there has been a jalapeno thief somewhere because we had 3 of them, but now we only have 1. And it's so funny because I would notice they didn't go at the same time. The other 2 disappeared more sporadically, and it was so strange because the whole entire pepper was gone. It was like someone just plucked it off, some kind of creature. And it's funny because I would assume bugs would get it, but I definitely don't think it was bugs because there was no evidence left. The whole thing just disappeared, so that's kind of strange. Then we have this cute pepper, which I probably should help support this plant because it's leaning, but it looks quite cute. And then this is a problem. Palmer, he learned a new trick which is not acceptable. His new favorite trick is to jump on this garden bed, and I cannot believe it. He just started doing that a couple of days ago, and it is absolutely chaotic. I cannot believe it. I think he likes to do it so he can look over the fence, but that is absolutely not acceptable and not okay because I want to plant in this bed, of course, and if we put some delicate new seeds, we cannot have that. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Unhinged. We have an unhinged puppy, but this is our kale. I actually pulled some off the other day, and I'm not sure what to do with this because it doesn't look like the healthiest, but should I just prune it back and then continue to try to grow it? I'm kind of leaning towards that, but feeling a little bit of mixed emotions, so we'll think on that. And then this, I have no idea what this is. I'm gonna grab my phone and try to identify it. I planted lettuce in the spring and none of it worked out. The kale did way better than the lettuce, but I would like to try again with the lettuce, but I have no idea what this is, so we'll try to identify it later. And then over here we have our mint and basil, which we did start out with a lot more herbs, And this is where we planted our carrots as well. But the mint and basil really are what's gonna work best in Florida in the summertime. The others did not fare well. And someone told me that mint is sort of like an only child herb, and I totally agree, because look at how much it's taking over this bed. It is just continuing to spread out and grow in all different directions. See, there's some smaller mint buds, there's some more over here. So we definitely have to prune this back and figure out what to do. Part of me kind of wants to give it its own pot, but I don't know. And we definitely need to harvest some. Here's some mint over here, over by where I planted the basil. So it is just sprawling out, making itself at home. And we have so much basil. We have a plethora of basil. So I want to prune this back a lot and harvest a ton of basil, and we'll make some homemade pesto today, and we can just keep that in the fridge. I probably should just start doing that once a week because we have so much. And last but not least, we have our gorgeous flower bed. We've had these yellow blooms ever since springtime, so I love having these, and the butterflies also love them. We have these sweet, sweet daisies that are doing well. I like how they're sort of cascading out of the bed. I think that is quite lovely. And then I have our fairy garden sign over here to invite all the fairies in. We have our lavender. We have our gorgeous wildflower collection. So, so beautiful. These started blooming a couple days ago. And then we have our common zinnias right here, which are so lovely, and they're getting so incredibly tall. Our first order of business is going to be adding compost into our beds. And I actually never added compost into our beds last spring. So that was a rookie gardening mistake. I think adding the compost and creating a more nutrient dense soil will immensely help our vegetables. And we are gonna try our hand at carrots again, which we tried in the spring. And if you missed it, we harvested the most baby carrots the world ever saw. So hopefully we'll have a bit more luck this season, and hopefully the compost will deter Palmer from jumping in the bed. I cannot believe that started happening. I was shocked the first time he did that, but hopefully the compost will deter him. We'll have to be creative and think of some other things. Of course, he started doing that right before we plant our new seeds, but it's okay, it'll all work out. But let's start with the compost. Okay, I just identified this mystery plant. We have something in this flowering plant family. Not sure exactly what species. It's so interesting. A pollinator probably brought it over, but it's gotta go because we gotta make room for some lettuce.
Leaving all my worries, I prepare for something new. Whatever it was that held me back, I'm sure it wasn't true. Holding on too long and unresolved questions hold you down. What could have been a friendly smile has turned into a frown. I'm moving on and on. On and on. I'm moving on and on. On and on. I'm driving in my car, the road is long and full of dust. The landscape changes around me, on and on, I feel immersed. Whatever happened to me happened for my highest good. I read that in so many books, now it's almost understood. I'm moving on and on. On and on. I'm moving on and on. On and on. Seagulls fly number or my FBI file. Sweet is my location, sweet as well my destination. If you're looking to begin, then look no further than within. I'm satisfied with what I've got and still eager for more. The change that you've been looking for will come knock on your door. On and on, on and on, on and on, on and on. I'm moving on and on, on and on. I'm moving on and on. I'm moving on. I'm moving on.
I'm so thankful our bougainvillea has been growing like crazy. When we first planted it this spring, early spring, it was only down to right about here, and it's trailed its way all the way up. This side is almost at the tippity top of the arch, which is so exciting to see. I'm really looking forward to seeing it bloom in the late winter, early spring. I hope it continues to keep growing also, because I anticipate it slowing down in the winter months or the early winter months in late fall. So we'll see, but oh, it is just such a beauty, and I love this archway we have going on. Another thing on the agenda today is training our jasmine trellis, which this is also growing quite rapidly. It always grows abundantly in the summertime with all the rain and humidity. We even have some blooms, which is surprising. Typically, I don't think it blooms this late in season, but it's so beautiful. And thankfully, it does start to trail through to our garage over, as you can see, some of them are trailing through under the wall a bit, but thankfully it's not an invasive vine. So once it starts to trail through, or like right here, is it going, oh yeah, as you can see, it's going under the panels. But since it's not invasive, it just dies off, as you can see. So I don't like when that happens, because of course I want it to continue to grow and climb up. So I don't like when it goes under the panels, but thankfully it's nothing detrimental to the foundation or to the paneling we have. taking a bit of a breather. I made a refreshing smoothie and I added in some of our garden mint. It's quite tasty. So there's mint, banana, spinach, mango, lemon juice, ginger. Love it. Quite delightful, especially for such a toasty day. Which brings me to my next point. I have dwelled on this a little bit and I think I'm going to wait another week before sowing and planting our seeds. I'm so thankful to have our beds all prepped. We have our compost, we have some things cleared out, some debris, and we're ready to go. And I would love to just sow them today and get the ball rolling, but I'm hesitant because Florida, it is quite toasty. It's currently 90 degrees and we are still in hurricane season here. So it's the last day of August as I'm filming this, and lots of seasoned gardeners, specifically in Florida, will wait until late September, early October to sow their seeds for autumn. And I'm just so excited. I want to start now, but I think I'll wait another week and we can go ahead and do that then, because of course you want to be mindful of the rainfall and the heat, especially for some of the cool winter crop vegetables like our lettuce. So I'm gonna wait another week, and I'm just, if you have any advice, I am always so grateful for the advice. And a couple other things, I would love to try my hand at growing ginger. I purchase ginger every single week at the grocery store, so that would be an incredible thing to be able to grow on our own. And I've been doing some research and I think I'm gonna start to do that, but I'll start in a container. I believe that will be best. And it's so neat because you just take the ginger root, you plant it in the soil, and then give it some water, and it actually prefers more of a shady climate, at least in Florida. And then some nice morning sun, and then it grows from the root, sort of like a potato. So I think that'll be really neat, and you can harvest it whenever. Well, you don't want to harvest the whole thing, but it is a perennial, so it means it'll come back each year and continue to grow and grow and grow if you tend to it and it has all of the resources it needs. So I think we'll try our hand at that. So I'll do a part 2 in this video, and we will sow our plants and we will try our hand at ginger. And another task we need to do is support our sweet Meyer lemon tree. I feel ashamed that I didn't do this earlier, but it just kind of fell low priority on my list. But this Meyer lemon tree, I planted it in springtime and it is hanging in there, but unfortunately it is leaning like crazy. There is quite a bit of fruit on it, so that's weighing it down towards one side. And when I planted it, I probably didn't compact the soil hard enough or as dense as it needed to be. So I ordered this kit where I will have little stakes and rope to give it some extra support. So that's gonna come in a few days, and we'll do that in part 2 as well. And I'm gonna continue to do research, continue to figure out our game plan. And I also, something interesting that I found out is, as we're approaching autumn, I was thinking about pumpkins, of course, and I wanted to know, do pumpkins grow in Florida? Is it too warm? What's the status there? And there is a type of pumpkin called the Seminole pumpkin, and let me just read this to you. This variety of pumpkin was previously cultivated before the arrival of the Spanish in the 16th century. Though the pumpkin shares its name with the Seminole tribe, it was widely consumed and grown by the Miccosukee Creek and other tribes indigenous to Florida. Isn't that so interesting? I'll insert a picture so you can see this pumpkin variety. It's a little different than your classic pumpkin shape, but I think it is so cute, and I would love to try my hand at growing the pumpkin. But the thing to consider is that they need space. They need lots of space to spread out, and I sort of would need a pumpkin patch, which I don't know if I really want to convert part of our backyard to a pumpkin patch, but I'm sitting on it. I'm marinating on it. I'll keep you updated. Here's a sneak peek of what I have mapped up to plant this season though. We have our kale and our lettuce, our gourmet baby greens lettuce. I'm really hoping we have some luck with this. That would just be really, really special to be able to have some fresh garden salads. And then we have our carrot, the rainbow mix, and then we have these sherbet calendula mix flowers. I think these will be really cute. And then some sunflowers. We love the sunflowers, and autumn is another great season to plant them here. Pesto. I put it in the fridge to cool. I haven't tried it yet. I just had some leftover tacos for lunch, so I'm not super hungry right now, but here it is. I just used our blender. I probably should invest in a food processor at this point because I feel like there's been multiple recipes I've been making where a food processor would be next level handy, because it is on the chunkier side because it kind of goes below the blade and it's hard to get it all mixed up. But I think it'll still be so delicious. It smells phenomenal. So we'll enjoy that later. I was even thinking it'd be tasty to spread some on a piece of sourdough toast or a grilled cheese. Yum, yum, yum. Also, I wanted to mention, on the gardening theme, I started reading The Secret Garden, which is a classic that I have vague memories of as a child, either reading this book or watching the movie, and I don't remember the storyline whatsoever. I'm only on page 38, so barely made a dent in it, but I am enjoying it so far, and I'm intrigued to see how it all unravels because, like I said, it's been a long time since I read that book. But if you're looking for a fun book idea, I found this. I'm trying to remember where I purchased this, but it is the most beautiful cover art. I love it. But anyways, I will catch up with you soon for part 2, where we tend to our lemon tree and plant our seeds. Welcome to part 2. Palmer's excited for today's adventure. So we only have a few more tasks. I actually planted the seedlings this morning, or seeds, they're not seedlings technically, and we ended up planting a bunch of lettuce, some kale, some rainbow carrots, and our flowers. So it's a great mix. I still feel like it's a bit of a gamble because of the weather and the climate here. It's so unpredictable, and some of the rainstorms that we get during summertime are very aggressive. So hopefully they'll stick with it. And a lot of the seeds, they take about a week or 2 weeks to germinate. So we should have some kind of indication in about a week or 2. So that's a good sign. And if there's no action, I can start over. I'll have enough time in the season to plant some more. So that was my thought process with it after I did a bit more research, but that's good to go. I'm gonna water tomorrow morning. I don't think it'll rain today. I think there's only a 30% chance of rain. So I'm thinking the soil was so moist this morning though, because it is good to keep the soil moist with fresh seeds. But I didn't want to add more water because it was already quite moist and it's so humid. So we'll see. Again, fingers crossed. It's still such a learning process, but yeah, the percentage of rain isn't very high. We have 40% at 8 p.m. and 9 p.m., but it can change really quick around here. But today's agenda, we have our tree stake, so we are gonna set this up and hopefully our lemon tree will be a bit happier. I haven't even opened it yet. What is this? So, okay, we have these little contraptions to put around the tree, some rope, and some stakes. So we should be good to go. And then I also want to add some bird seed to the feeder, which I got some feedback. I included putting the birdhouse up, the second birdhouse up, in a vlog, and there were lots of people saying, oh, it's too low to the ground. They probably won't want to hang out there because it's too low to the ground. It's about 5 feet above the ground, And yeah, you may very well be right. So we'll see. We do get some cardinals in the backyard and they hop all around. They'll like go on the grass and the bushes and on top of the fence. So they're definitely active lower, but that could just be to find food and whatnot. So we'll see, but hopefully once we have this bird seed in, we'll get some friends coming to say hello. And then the last thing I want to do, oh, I'm gonna plant some ginger. Where is it? I pulled it out. We have a curious little friend with us. So here's the ginger. Don't know if that's dog safe, so let's back up, little guy. Okay, so the ginger actually apparently grows really well in Florida. I'm gonna need to hold you back. He wants to take a bite. So I am going to add this to a container and I'm gonna add a mix of soil and compost, and we're gonna place it on the other side, so the opposite side of our yard that the rest of the garden is, because the rest of the garden gets full sun in the afternoon, but this prefers morning sun, and then it does well in the shade for the rest of the day. So I don't want to dry it out, so we'll plant it on the other side in a pot for now, and maybe we'll plant it in the earth later on. So we'll do that, hopefully get that going. So that's super neat. And then the last task on our agenda is updating our garden journal. So we have this journal that we keep a record of our garden updates and progress. So in the springtime, I wrote down everything I planted, and I wrote down some learnings and reminders. We have a little thief near us. One second. Well, I made a map the first time because I was establishing the beds. So here's the details of what I planted, and so that was a good visual. And then throughout the season, I made some updates, not very many. I only made 2 updates. So I need to be more consistent about doing that, but helpful little reminders. And then I also write down just some things I've learned and whatnot. So we'll update our journal with what we planted this morning, and then we'll be good to go. Absolute doozy. Sorry, the camera stopped recording because it's so hot. It got overheated. Oh, it's looking so much more balanced though. I'm thankful for that. I really wish I wore long sleeves. Well, I would have maybe fainted from heat stroke, but wow, these thorns on the lemons, they are spicy, spicy thorns, and they got my arms. I'm all scratched up, but it's worth it if this starts to do better. My ropes are a little messy at the bottom. I just didn't want to cut the tip of the ropes yet, just because I want to give it more time and make sure that it's good placement and everything. But the thing is that there's so much fruit on this tree, which is a beautiful thing. Of course, I'm thankful for that. But the fruit is so heavy, and it's definitely lopsided. So this side of the tree has a lot more fruit and it's a lot more dense, so that's why it leans so much. So I just put the stakes on the other side, so hopefully it'll stay okay and these will be able to breathe more and ripen up. I'd love to be able to enjoy some fruit soon. And I noticed we had some fallen ones down here. It's kind of gross looking now, but they ripened up once they were on the ground. So I'll research that. What happens if you pull them off the tree? Do they ripen on your countertop? Does that work well? I mean, I'd like for it to be plucked right off the tree when it's ripe, but I'll do more research. that's gonna be it for today. I'm gonna go take a nice cold shower. I am a little concerned about the seeds I planted this morning because I feel like the soil has to be in the 90s temperature wise, and that is too hot for the lettuce. But we're not gonna worry about it. We're not gonna fret. We're just gonna let Mother Nature do her thing and continue learning and growing as we go. But thank you so much for watching and spending time with me. I really hope you enjoyed this video and it made you feel excited for the upcoming season. But I love you all so much. I cannot wait to see you next. Bye.